He was not poor because he lacked money. He was poor because the world had finished with him. Elias understood this as he stood before his woodpile. On the morning his body finally refused. 50 winters of cutting, 50 winters of stacking, and now the arithmetic had shifted. The logs were sufficient. His strength was not. The cottage waited behind him. Stone walls that breathed cold, a roof that had forgotten how to be whole. He had outlived his wife. In the year of the great frost, his son had gone to the coastal towns, seeking fortune, sending word once, then silence. There was no one to speak to about what came next. He did not call it loneliness. The word was too small. Inside, beneath the bed, lay his final currency, copper coins green with age, 3 silver pieces that had belonged to his wife's mother, a garnet button found in a thrush's nest. As a boy, kept for no reason he could name, he spread these on his palm. They weighed not in metal, but in years. Every small economy, every denied comfort, every winter passed without meat. He needed a companion for the road. He could no longer walk alone. The beast market convened at the crossroads. When the moon was thin, Elias had avoided it for years. Now he wrapped his coins in leather and set out before dawn, counting his steps to keep his mind from anticipating. The market announced itself before he saw it. The lowing of cattle, the bark of dogs, the particular cadence of men discussing weight and worth. He emerged from the tree line into a field churned to mud and straw. Tents and wagons formed temporary streets. Smoke rose from braziers where merchants warmed their hands. He moved through the crowd like a ghost through a living house. His coat had been repaired so many times that the original fabric existed only in memory. His boots spoke of decades past their crafting. The stoop of his shoulders placed his gaze at chest level, requiring him to look up to meet any man's eyes. These things marked him. Before he spoke, he approached a pen of donkeys, asked the price of a gray-muzzled jenny. "She's sold," the merchant said, though the donkey wore no halter of purchase. Elias nodded, moved to the next pen. A mule, tall and ill-tempered, watched him with ears flat back. He asked after it. The owner laughed, without unkindness. "She'd have you on your back before you cleared the gate. Old father, look for something gentler." But gentler things were not offered. At each pen, the conversation followed the same path. The merchant's assessment, the withdrawal, the suggestion that perhaps the poultry sellers had something within his means. Laughter followed him, not cruel, clinical, the sound of those who had learned to measure the world in profitable and unprofitable, and had found him to be the latter. By midday, he reached the far edge, where the unsold animals waited, the damaged, the aged, the ill-conformed, a cow with one blind eye, goats with the mange, a cart horse that wheezed with each breath, and the horse. It stood apart, tied to a stake, driven into frozen earth. No blanket, no water. Its color might once have been bay. Neglect had dulled it to the shade of dead leaves. The ribs showed, with the patient persistence of gradual starvation. Worse was the left foreleg, held forward, bearing no weight. The knee was thickened, twisted, the sign of an injury, left to heal untended. Elias approached, without intending to. The horse did not raise its head. It had learned that human approach meant nothing good. No feed, no touch, only examination of its defects, followed by withdrawal. Elias stood at the rope's limit, looked into the animal's visible eye, dark, set in bone too prominent for the skull beneath. The eye regarded him with something beyond resignation. In it, he recognized what he had seen that morning, shaving by gray window light. the look of one who continues, not from hope, but from the simple refusal to stop. The merchant who approached was young. His coat had known better care than his stock. That one, the youth said, is for the knacker. The legs ruined, can't pull, can't plow, can't carry, 3 winters old, and good for nothing but dog meat. Elias did not look at the speaker. He watched the horse's ear, which had flicked toward the voice, then returned to indifference. Name a price, Elias said. The youth laughed, a single sound like a bark. You don't want this one, grandfather. He'll be dead before the snow melts. I've a pony over there, small but sound. More the price. They stood in silence. Around them, the market continued, but Elias felt the attention of those nearby, a circle of awareness expanding, recognizing something unusual in the transaction between the broken old man and the ruined horse. 2 silver, the youth said, a figure he clearly expected to end the conversation. For the hide, if nothing else, though you'll need your own knife. Elias unwrapped his leather bundle. The coins lay in his palm, silver catching the weak winter light. He held them out without comment. The youth's hand hesitated. You're serious? Elias said nothing. He had learned that silence could accomplish what words could not. It could outweigh doubt. It could make the other party responsible for the next move. 2 silver, the youth repeated. He took the coins, bit one automatically. The rope's yours. He's yours. Take him before he falls down. Elias stepped forward, touched the horse's neck. The skin twitched, but the animal did not move away. The coat was rough, with dirt and old sweat. Beneath it, he felt the warmth of blood, continuing its work. The horse turned its head, slowly, breathed onto his hand, warm, smelling of hay, and the particular sweetness of equine breath. Can you walk? Elias asked, not expecting answer. The horse straightened, visibly gathering itself. The damaged leg remained lifted, but the other 3 found balance. When Elias tugged the rope, the horse followed. Each step was careful, precise, the gait of one who had learned to move within limitation. They left by the north path. Behind them, the laughter started. The youth's voice raised. In explanation, responding chuckles, commentary that would follow them. Elias did not turn. The horse limped beside him. They moved through the noise, as they would move through weather. Facts to be endured, rather than resisted. Some paths do not ask to be understood. 3 leagues from the market, where the path divided, the horse stopped. Elias tugged the rope. The horse resisted, not dramatically, with the immovable quality of a creature that had decided. It turned its head toward the left-hand path, the one that climbed steeply into the pine forest, toward the mountain's lower slopes. This was not the way home. This way led to old logging tracks, abandoned decades past. It led to rock and exposure, and the solitude that killed the unprepared. No, Elias said. This way. He pulled again. The horse shifted, preparing to resist more firmly. Sight, when Elias met it, held something new. Not pleading, not pain, something closer to certainty. There's nothing there, Elias said. I've worked those slopes. They're empty. The horse did not move. Elias looked at the path. Narrow, overgrown with brush, snow undisturbed, no sign of recent passage. Trees grew close, branches interlocking, to create a tunnel of shadow. He had not traveled this way in 20 years, not since his strength had been sufficient for the steep haul. He was afraid. He admitted this with the honesty that solitude cultivates. The mountain in winter was not forgiving. A fall, a broken limb, exposure in the descending dark. These were not possibilities, but probabilities. For a man of his years, the horse's injury would make the climb slower, more dangerous. They would be committed, once begun, to whatever the path offered. But the horse had chosen, and Elias, who had spent his life making practical decisions, found he could not dismiss this one. He loosened the rope, allowed more length. "Show me then," he said, "if you can." The horse moved forward. The damaged leg limited its gait to careful placement, but it did not hesitate. They entered the shadow of the pines, the market, the village, the known world. All fell behind them. The path deteriorated. What had been a track became a suggestion, then a memory. They climbed through snow that reached the horse's chest. Elias broke trail, with his body wading forward until his legs burned. Branches tore at his coat. The cold found the gaps in his clothing and settled there. Indifferent to his discomfort, he spoke occasionally, not from sentiment, but from the need to hear a voice. In the overwhelming silence, the animal responded, with ear flicks, with the rhythm of its breathing, but never with hesitation. It knew where they were going, though Elias did not. They emerged from the densest forest onto a slope of broken rock. The wind struck them, channeling through a gap, with force that required them to lean into it. The horse's mane whipped against its neck. Elias felt moisture freeze on his eyelashes. He looked up and saw they were not approaching a summit. They were traversing toward a ridge, invisible from below, a fold in the mountain's profile that concealed what lay beyond. The rock was slippery with ice. Elias placed each foot with care, used his free hand to steady himself against the horse's shoulder. The animal moved with surprising confidence, finding purchase where he found none, pausing when he needed to rest. They were partners now, however temporary, however inexplicable. It happened on the traverse. A stone, loosened by centuries, a freeze-thaw, shifted beneath Elias's boot. His weight transferred to the other foot, which found no support. He felt himself falling before his mind could name it, a slow inevitability that gave him time to realize he would not stop, that the slope below was naked stone, that the drop beyond was sufficient to end all consideration. A future difficulty. He struck with his hip, bounced, struck again with his shoulder. Pain arrived in waves, distinct and informative. His left leg, trapped beneath him, twisted in a direction it was not designed to accommodate. He heard his own voice, wordless, expressing nothing but physical fact. He came to rest on a ledge no wider than his body. Above, the horse had stopped, head extended over the drop, watching. Below, the slope continued to a depth he could not estimate. The pain in his leg was total, occupying all available attention. He could not move it. He could not. He realized with the clarity shock sometimes brings, move at all. The cold began its work immediately. It found the sweat that fear had raised on his skin, transformed it into ice that sank toward the bone. His breath came in short gasps, each one visible, each one carrying warmth away from his core. He understood, without dramatic realization, that he was dying. The process had begun. It would continue, with or without his participation. He did not pray. He had never developed the habit. An emergency seemed the wrong time to begin. Instead, he reviewed the cottage, me, that would remain empty, the woodpile, sufficient, that would outlast its builder, the son, absent, who would learn of his father's end through official channels. Fed all these facts presented themselves without emotional attachment. They simply were. And then, the doubt. It arrived not as panic, but as a cold weight in his chest. He had followed a broken animal, into broken country. He had spent his last currency on a creature bound for the knacker's yard. He had abandoned the known road for a path that led nowhere. He recognized the horse had chosen, but what if the horse was simply broken? What if its certainty was only stubbornness, its path only habit, its destination only the random wandering of a damaged mind? What if he had mistaken damage for destiny? Elias closed his eyes. The wind found his face. He had made errors before. Errors of judgment. Errors of hope. Each one had seemed reasonable. At the time, each one had revealed itself, in retrospect, as the choice of a man, too tired to see clearly. Perhaps this was simply the last error, the one he would not survive. To understand, he opened his eyes. The horse was descending. Elias watched without comprehension. The animal had found a route, some series of ledges or chimneys that allowed it to reach him. The damaged leg complicated every movement, required controlled slides, required trusting 3 limbs where 4 were needed. Took time. The light was fading. When the horse finally stood on the ledge beside him, its body blocked the wind. It lowered its head, breathed on his face. The warmth was shocking, intimate, almost unbearable. Elias turned his head away, not from rejection, but from the intensity. When he looked back, the horse was watching him with the same certainty it had shown at the path's division. The message was clear, though wordless. Not yet. Not here. I cannot walk, Elias said, testing whether speech was still possible, whether his mind remained coherent. The horse shifted, turned its body to present its flank. The meaning was obvious. Elias reached up, found the mane, with fingers he could no longer feel, and pulled. The pain of movement was sufficient to stop his breath. He hung suspended between the ledge and the horse's back, unable to complete the motion, unable to retreat. The horse waited. It did not shift or protest or move away. It simply waited, holding its position with the patience of one who understood that some transitions cannot be hurried. Elias gathered what remained. He thought of his wife, dead these many years, how she had borne their son with no complaint, though the labor lasted 3 days. He thought of his father, who had continued cutting wood for 2 winters after the accident that stole most of his hand. He thought of the horse, limping through snow. That must have been agony to its damaged leg, because some destination required reaching. He pulled himself onto the horse's back. They moved through darkness. The horse found paths that Elias could not see, navigating by smell, or memory, or some sense beyond human perception. The cold continued, but Elias had passed beyond shivering into a state of suspended animation, aware but disconnected from his body's distress. He held the mane with hands that had forgotten their purpose. Let the motion carry him where it would. Time became uncertain. He may have lost consciousness. He may have dreamed. Later he could not distinguish dream from reality. He knew only that the quality of darkness changed, that the wind diminished, that the horse stopped in a place that felt different. He opened his eyes to gray light. They stood in a valley. The word was insufficient. Cleft perhaps, or hollow. The walls rose on 3 sides, with the enclosing quality of a hand cupped to hold water. The 4th side, through which they had entered, was a narrow passage between rock faces, invisible from any distance. The ground was clear of snow. The air, while cold, lacked the biting quality of the heights and the light. Elias turned his head, slowly, carefully. The light came from the walls themselves, not the walls. Veins in the walls, threads of mineral, that caught the gray dawn and returned it multiplied, transformed into pale gold, that seemed to emanate From within the stone, he blinked, believing his eyes damaged by cold or by the blow to his head. But the vision persisted. The threads ran through the rock, like veins in a leaf, like patterns frost makes on glass, converging where the stone had fractured, to reveal concentrations of the golden mineral, gold. He did not move for a long time. The horse stood beneath him, patient. He sat upon it, patient. They observed together what the mountain had hidden. When he finally slid to the ground, the pain in his leg informed him that the injury was real, that this was not some terminal vision granted to the dying. He touched the stone with fingers that had regained feeling. The gold was soft, malleable, confirming its nature. With the oldest test known to human experience, he could have taken it all. The thought presented itself without judgment. He could have filled his pockets, his shirt, the leather bag that had held his life savings. He could have returned to the village, a wealthy man, purchased the respect that poverty had denied him, built a new life upon this geological accident. Instead, he sat on the cold ground, considered what he needed, not wanted, needed. The distinction was crucial, learned through decades of doing without. He needed his leg to heal, or to heal sufficiently for walking. He needed shelter from the remaining winter. He admitted with some surprise, the horse, not for labor necessarily, but for companionship, for the quality of regard he had felt on the ledge, for the simple fact of not being alone. He gathered what fit in one hand, 5 pieces, no larger than his thumbnail, their weight surprising for their size. He wrapped them in the leather bag, which now held his future instead of his past. Then he rested against the horse's shoulder and waited for sufficient strength to begin the return. The passage out was easier, whether the route was less steep or his perception altered by discovery, he could not determine. The horse moved with confidence. He followed, using a branch broken from a dead pine as support for his injured leg. They emerged onto the mountain's flank as the sun reached noon. He did not return to the village immediately. The cottage received him, the woodpile, the familiar poverty that now seemed a choice rather than a fate. He set his own leg as best he could, binding it with strips of cloth and wooden splints. He rubbed the horse's damaged knee with a poultice of herbs he knew. The animal accepted this attention with the same patience it had shown on the mountain. They healed together, sharing the space and the silence and the gradual return of function. When spring opened the roads, Elias walked to the village, not limped, though the leg remained stiff. Walked with the horse beside him, its gait improved by care and rest. He sold 1 piece of gold to a merchant who asked no questions, received enough silver to purchase what he needed without excess, hired a man to repair his roof, bought grain for the horse, seed for a small garden, materials to construct a shelter that would withstand the next winter. The story spread, as stories do. The broken old man, who had returned with wealth, the ruined horse that had led him to it, the valley that existed, that did not exist, that could be found only by those who deserved finding. Men came to him, demanding directions, offering partnership, threatening when he refused. He gave them nothing, not from greed, from knowledge he could not transmit. The valley was not a place. It was a passage, a test, a transformation that occurred in the traveling, rather than the arrival. Some sought it anyway. They found the paths he described, or paths they believed matched his description. They climbed in summer, when the snow was treacherous with melting. They climbed in autumn, when early storms caught them unprepared. Some returned empty-handed, cursing his deception. Some did not return. Elias watched this, without satisfaction or regret. He had not asked to be believed. He lived simply, with more comfort than before, but with the same essential solitude. The horse aged beside him, its leg never fully sound, its coat gradually whitening. They went nowhere special. In their remaining years, the valley, if it had ever existed, as more than metaphor, remained where it had always been, accessible or inaccessible, according to rules that governed intention, rather than geography. On the morning the horse died, Elias sat with the body until evening. He did not weep. He had learned that grief was not measured in tears, but in the quality of attention given to absence. He buried the animal on the slope where the first spring flowers grew, marked the place with a stone that bore no inscription. The second piece of gold, still wrapped in leather, he buried with it, not as payment, as acknowledgement that some debts outlive their creditors. He lived 7 more years. The village gradually accepted him as a fixture, neither wealthy man nor pauper, neither sage nor fool. Young people brought him questions about the valley, seeking maps, seeking blessing, seeking the formula that would make their own fortune. He answered as he could, telling them what had happened, without explaining what it meant. Most left dissatisfied. Few, the patient ones, stayed to help with his garden or his firewood, received in return the kind of attention that needed no gold to validate it. On the last night, he woke to moonlight, filling his repaired roof, lay still, feeling the familiar constriction in his chest, more frequent now, more insistent. He did not fear it. He had learned what the horse had known from the beginning, that the destination matters less than the willingness to continue toward it. That damage is not the same as defeat. That silence can be the most honest form of speech. Some paths do not ask to be understood. He closed his eyes, let the moonlight carry him. Whether he found the valley again, or whether the valley had ever been anything more than the place where endurance finally received its answer, no one could say. The cottage passed to a distant cousin who had never visited. The remaining gold pieces were found in the wooden chest, unexplained, sufficient to bury him properly, but not to inspire legend. Only the story remained, transformed in telling, adapted to each audience, traveling the roads and the years, losing details and gaining meaning, until it became what it had always been, not instruction, but invitation, a suggestion that the wounded might recognize each other, that the rejected path might lead somewhere, that the treasure one needs is rarely the treasure one seeks. The mountain still stands, the path still climb, and somewhere between the fallen and the standing, between the choice to continue and the act of continuation, the valley waits, not for those who search with full hands, but for those who follow. The broken horse